Today I figure I'd give you guys a ranking of the Back to the Future trilogy. This is a trilogy that I've always loved and hold dear to my heart. It was produced by Steven Spielberg and directed by Robert Zemeckis. It stars Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly, a teenager who time travels due to his best friend, played by Christopher Lloyd, Dr. Emmett Brown. And this has always been an enjoyable series, one that I've always really loved. It has 3 amazing entries. They're all very entertaining, and all of them are just fun, enjoyable films. So without further ado, let's get started. Coming in last place is 1989's Back to the Future Part 2. An enjoyable sequel, but in my opinion a bit overstuffed. This film does continue the story of the first film in an interesting way, showing Marty travel to 3 distinct time periods. He travels to an alternate 1985, the future of 2015, and back to 1955 from the first film. It's a movie that had a lot of ambition, but I feel it kind of missed the mark in a lot of ways. I feel the future segments are a bit cheesy. I didn't really like how the gang talked, Griff's gang, and I also didn't care for the 80s bar. I thought that was kind of, cringy and corny. And it's just tonally strange from the rest of the film. But apart from a weird future segment, I actually do like the alternate 80s scenes, as well as the 1955 sequence. An ambitious and fun sequel that misses the mark, but is also still very enjoyable. And one that I still do very much recommend. Coming in at number 2 is 1990's Back to the Future Part 3. This film follows directly after the events of Part 2 and shows Marty going back in time to 1885 to the Old West to bring Doc back, who was accidentally sent there at the end of Part 2, so he can also return back to 1985 with Doc. It's an enjoyable and fun sequel that actually is very reminiscent of the first film, and I think that's why I love it so much. It feels like the first film again, just in the Old West. Some people say it's playing it a bit safe after Part 2, but I still do think it's a proper ending to the trilogy, and one that I've always enjoyed more than the second film, despite it being a bit samey, I suppose. But apart from that, it's still very enjoyable. Which leads me to number 1, 1985's Back to the Future. This film is a classic, and one that I've always enjoyed. If you love entertaining cinema, you're gonna love Back to the Future. It's fun, it's crazy, it's over the top, it's strange, but in the best way. Great chemistry among the cast. Great direction by Robert Zemeckis. Really good special effects for the time that hold up even to this day. And an enjoyable soundtrack featuring songs from Huey Lewis and the News. It's just, you cannot go wrong with this film. And I'd say I'd probably put it in my top 10 best films of all time. I was lucky enough to actually get to see it in theaters with the rest of the trilogy during 2015. They actually re-released it in cinemas on the day that Christopher Lloyd's character, Doc, went back. Well, the day Marty went to 2015, they actually re-released all 3 films in theaters. And I thought that was a really fun experience. I highly recommend this franchise to anyone who enjoys entertaining movies with good visuals and cast members. And I do think that the films are going to hold up, and they do stand the test of time. I hope that they never try to remake this franchise. I could maybe see a belated sequel with Marty's kids or something going back to 1985, which would be really fun. But that's the only thing I could see this series doing going forward. It's a really enjoyable franchise. It has some good stuff going for it. And there's even an interesting Telltale video game that was released for the 360. But apart from that, it's just a fun and enjoyable series that I do recommend to anyone who loves great cinema. Well, that's my ranking and my list. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you would like to rank the films yourself, do so in the comments below. And peace out.